Pastor Omotoso, is this goodbye permanently?
Knowing of what he did to us, it's knowing that he's not going to stop. He's going to continue doing this to other women and other girls. And that's what we wanted to stop. That's what we wanted to prevent. To say it ends with us and it's not going to go any further. But he's not going to stop. It's in his nature. And I feel that this is kind of enabling to him. I think things may only get worse from here.
Pastor Omotoso, is this goodbye
Definitely going to be more pompous and believe that this is an act of God. And it's not. I think we're all familiar with the fact that evil prevails in this world. And it's really unfortunate.
Timothy Omotoso, the controversial Nigerian televangelist and founder of the Jesus Dominion International Church, has officially been banned from entering South Africa for the next 5 years. This decision, confirmed by the Department of Home Affairs, marks a significant development in a long and contentious legal battle. Omotoso, who was arrested back in 2017, faced over 90 charges. These charges were rooted in allegations made by several women who came forward with harrowing accounts of manipulation and abuse within the church. For years, these women have bravely shared their stories, seeking justice and accountability from a man they believed exploited his position of power. However, just last month, the Gqeberha High Court acquitted Omotoso of 32 of the most serious charges. This decision sent shockwaves through communities across South Africa, leaving many of his alleged victims and supporters feeling betrayed and abandoned by the justice system. It raised critical questions about how survivors of abuse are treated when their voices are finally heard but ultimately dismissed. The decision to ban Omotoso from re-entering the country stems not from his criminal charges, but from immigration violations. According to Stephen Van Neal, head of immigration and law enforcement for Home Affairs, Omotoso had previously obtained a fraudulent permit and overstayed in South Africa for an extended period. When Omotoso recently acquired a new passport from the Nigerian embassy, it flagged his delisted status, effectively preventing his return for the next 5 years. While some might see his departure as a form of accountability, it's important to recognize that this ban does little to address the pain and disillusionment felt by his alleged victims. The women who stood up against Omotoso hoped to see him answer for the harm they claimed he caused. Instead, they are left with the reality that, despite years of legal battles and public scrutiny, he walks away without facing convictions on many of the most serious allegations. This situation highlights a deeper issue within the justice system. How do we support survivors when their fight for justice falls short? Many of Omotoso's alleged victims spoke out not just for personal closure, but to protect others from facing similar ordeals. The acquittal and subsequent ban, unrelated to the abuse allegations, feel like a hollow outcome, overshadowing the gravity of what these women endured. Moving forward, it's crucial for communities, institutions, and the justice system to reflect on how cases like Omotoso's are handled. What message does it send when alleged perpetrators can evade accountability, not because they are proven innocent, but because of procedural flaws or legal technicalities? We must continue to support survivors, amplify their voices, and push for legal reforms that ensure justice is not only pursued, but also achieved. Omotoso's exit from South Africa may feel like a chapter closing, but for many, the story is far from over. As he leaves the country, the unresolved trauma and sense of injustice remain, reminding us that the fight for accountability in cases of abuse and exploitation is ongoing and far from complete. Although Timothy Omotoso was acquitted of 32 serious charges, it's important to understand that acquittal does not necessarily equate to innocence. In legal terms, it simply means that the prosecution was unable to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. This distinction is crucial because it underscores how the legal system often struggles to address complex cases of abuse, especially when the accused holds significant social and religious influence. The acquittal not only leaves the alleged victims feeling let down, but also raises public skepticism about the justice system's ability to protect vulnerable individuals from powerful figures. It creates an unsettling precedent where survivors who come forward are left wondering whether the effort and emotional toll of seeking justice were worth it. The impact on survivors and public perception. One of the most profound consequences of Omotoso's acquittal and subsequent deportation is the impact on his alleged victims. For years, they fought through court appearances, public scrutiny, and the challenges of reliving traumatic experiences in front of strangers. The anticipation of justice was a driving force, and when the court ultimately cleared Omotoso of many charges, it felt like invalidation of their suffering. This outcome may discourage other survivors of abuse from coming forward, fearing that the stories might be dismissed or that they could face public backlash. It also perpetuates a troubling narrative where perpetrators can seemingly escape consequences, especially when backed by influential networks or legal loopholes. Omotoso's case also highlights the problematic dynamics within certain religious institutions where charismatic leaders wield unchecked power. The Jesus Dominion International Church, under his leadership, became a focal point not only for worship but also for manipulation and control, according to some allegations. Religious leaders who exploit their positions for personal gain or abuse not only harm their immediate victims, but also tarnish the credibility of faith communities as a whole. This pattern is not isolated to Omotoso. It's a global issue where religious authority often shields individuals from accountability. In this context, the role of community leaders and the media becomes critical. There must be a consistent effort to hold powerful figures accountable, regardless of their religious or social standing. The decision to ban Omotoso from re-entering South Africa is undoubtedly a legal victory for immigration authorities, but it sidesteps the core issue of justice for his alleged victims. It's vital to remember that while Omotoso may be physically absent from South Africa, the emotional and psychological scars left on those who accused him remain. Efforts to support survivors should not wane simply because the accused has left the country. On the contrary, there is a need for continued advocacy to ensure that survivors receive the necessary emotional support, counseling, and community backing to rebuild their lives. Additionally, this case should serve as a wake-up call to address how legal procedures and public attitudes often undermine the pursuit of justice in cases involving influential figures. In light of Omotoso's case, it's time to re-examine how cases of abuse are prosecuted, particularly when the accused hold positions of power. Legal reforms that prioritize survivor protection, trauma-informed investigations, and comprehensive evidence gathering could prevent future injustices. Furthermore, institutions that house influential leaders, like religious organizations, must establish robust accountability measures. No one, regardless of status or influence, should be above the law. If we fail to address these systemic flaws, we risk allowing similar situations to unfold repeatedly, leaving more survivors disillusioned and abandoned by the very systems designed to protect them. The story of Timothy Omotoso's legal battle may have taken a significant turn with his ban from South Africa. We owe it to survivors and the community to reflect, reform, and ensure that justice is not just a legal term, but a lived reality for those who bravely come forward.